A year ago, when I started talking about the economy being in trouble, a lot of people said that I was nuts, and quite honestly, I mean, craziness runs through my family like a pack of wild elephants, but that's a different story. If we are, right now, going through something that is nothing more than a routine slowdown, like the president and so many others claim, then why is the real story that our Federal Reserve Bank is now pitching ideas that just 3 months ago would have been crazy talk? At a meeting of bankers yesterday morning, Ben Bernanke made a historic proposal that should be shocking. Listen to his words carefully. He said, quote, "In this environment, principal reductions that restore some equity for the homeowner may be relatively more effective means of avoiding delinquency and foreclosures than reducing the interest rate." Let me translate that from bullcrap to English for you. Call up the people who borrowed the money for their house and tell them that instead of owing you $300,000, hey, you now only owe $200,000. Consider it a gift from your friendly neighborhood bank. It's like toasters. Just really, really expensive toasters that they give out at banks. If you have a mortgage right now, probably sounds sweet. I should have taken out a bigger mortgage. But think about what it really means for a second. The chairman of the Federal Reserve Bank, not some politician or some think tank analyst, has proposed that banks voluntarily write off what could amount to hundreds of billions of dollars. Why would he pitch that? More importantly, why aren't the bankers rioting in protest today? After all, here you have a nonpartisan, high-ranking, non-government official asking private companies to take a huge hit for a typical slowdown. The only reasonable answer is, the one that nobody wants to hear, is because both sides understand what we're really facing, and it's not a typical slowdown. The only reason to willingly give up hundreds of billions of dollars if you think you might lose more if you don't do this. Peter Schiff is the president of Euro-Pacific Capital and author of Crash Proof. He's our economic boogeyman, and he's got the book Crash Proof, How to Profit from the Coming Economic Collapse. Peter, first of all, I don't think I took out a big enough loan if this is what we're going to do. Second of all, lower mortgages. I mean, just handing this out, what happens if banks just start to say, we're going to start lowering people's mortgages?
Well, it's going to happen eventually anyway, because remember, the borrowers can walk away from these mortgages. Many of them have no equity as it is, or they put nothing down, and so it's the lender's problem. So ultimately, this is what's going to happen. But, you know, in the short run, the principal is already being reduced. Look at the dollar. It hit a new record low today against the euro, record high prices for gold and oil. People around the world who have loaned Americans money are already taking a significant reduction in their principal. It's in the foreign exchange market with a weak dollar.
But you say that reducing the loans would actually decrease home values even more, faster.
Well, of course. Well, the problem is Americans overpaid for homes in the first place and borrowed more than their homes are actually worth. And what this means, think about it, what Bernanke also said is that in foreclosure right now, the average recovery rate is less than 50 cents on the dollar. So imagine a bank trying to loan somebody money to buy a house for 5 or 6% interest rate, knowing that if the guy can't make the payments and he has to foreclose, he's going to get 50 cents on the dollar. Nobody's going to lend into this environment. So real estate prices have to collapse.
Am I right by thinking that the reason why they want to give people more, they want to reduce this, is so people have more equity, and let's be honest, when people have more equity in their house, they spend more.
Well, sure, that's how we got into this mess. People extracted the equity in the first place with refis. And remember, Alan Greenspan encouraged it. And now that all the equity is gone, they're asking for the lenders to fill the piggy bank back up again so Americans can extract even more equity that they don't have.
Peter, did you see my article? I posted, I think it was this just a couple of days ago. I called it my DEFCON.
Yeah.
Yeah. For you know, where are we?
Well, I think we're in DEFCON 4, headed for DEFCON 3. And the only thing you really left out of the equation was what happens to the value of our money. That is the real story. Americans are seeing their wealth evaporate, the value of their wages, the value of their savings. The Federal Reserve is on a mission. You know, there's a cost. There's a cost to all this easy money and low interest rates. That cost is higher food prices, higher gasoline prices. You know, prices are not rising because somebody in China is eating more food. That's nonsense. Prices are rising because the government is printing too much money and debasing our currency to try to prop up the market and prop up the economy.
Thanks, Peter. That's the real story tonight.